Hey, Foot Clan, Navy Federal has a mission to put its members first by making their financial goals the priority. Receive a lifetime of membership benefits to help you and your family accomplish your life missions, like a suite of financial products designed to fit your needs. 24/7 live support, access to over 300 branches on or near military bases. You can visit NavyFederal.org for more information or call 1-888-842-6328 or download the Navy Federal Credit Union app. Message and data rates may apply.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome. It's Monday morning, and this is the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Andy, Mike, and Jason back again. Brooks spinning the wheels, twisting the dials. Baby Josh is here, hiding in the corner, as he always does.
And we raise the glass.
We raise the glass?
We raise the glass to all the Foot Clan who have made it to the fantasy playoffs.
Huzzah!
May your journey be swift and nice.
Not swift. May it last long.
That was very, poetic until you went swift and nice. I mean, that just wasn't, didn't have.
You don't want your playoffs swift and nice?
But not so swift.
I feel like
if I could go, boom, it's done, and I'm the champion.
Well, but by nature, you need multiple weeks to win a title.
That's my issue with the swift part.
I hope your playoffs are swift and not nice.
And nice.
Here's what I want to there's so much we need to talk about. Obviously, some of you thought you might hear from us early after the big news on Kareem Hunt, and we are going to address that shortly in the news, and we'll talk about that. I want to get to the part where I faced off against Brooks in our dynasty. Now, I'm the defending champion. And do you know who the number one quarterback was this week?
I believe it was Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
The Quattro.
I've got him.
Oh, you had him.
Do you know who the number one and number two running backs were this week?
I believe it was Todd Gurley and Phillip Lindsay.
Yeah. Do you know who I have?
You have both of those
I have
players.
both of those
Well,
players.
congratulations.
Unfortunately, I lost.
Brooks.
I lost with the second most points scored this week, the second most points scored on the year.
And then a hero comes along.
Yeah, I know. And I was trying to get some compassion from these guys.
His name is Brooks.
You shall have no compassion from us, 'cause you're defending champ.
I agree with you. And here's what I've chosen to do. One, I can't change anything that happened, so I'm not going to dwell on it. Number two, I know that there are Foot Clan out there, our editor-in-chief included, who have been in this boat. And I'm picturing this as a literal boat in which you are climbing onto this boat with me, and we are heading towards the falls, and we're going over the edge, and we're done. And everybody else in the playoffs can move on in that league, because that's where I'm at. It's kind of, you know, the scene at the end of the movie where all the good guys are fighting all the bad guys, and then one person, you know, one of the kind of semi-heroes,
right?
He kind of takes an arrow or two, and like he could so easily go on with them, like, you do not need to die here.
Right, but he makes the choice.
Like, leave me.
Sacrifice, right.
Leave me. Leave me, Brooks.
He charges at the enemy.
Leave me.
To take 12 more arrows.
I took 12. I mean, Jason and I were in
many arrows.
We're in the same boat.
Yes.
We're both 6-6. We win, we're in.
Yes.
He scores like 100 points.
Yes.
I score like 150.
Correct.
And you're in the playoffs.
I won. Thank you, Mike.
My team had some misfires.
Mike scored like 50 points. He lost Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, lost. Well, I mean, Stephon Diggs, I guess, technically played.
That's okay. League of record. I just took the 1 seed from Mike, and we're going into the playoffs. I got the bye week. I don't have to think about it for a week. Let's focus on your teams out there, Foot Clan. Here's some reaction from the weekend. We got our puns, our one-liners, our Monday Punday. These are great today. So shout out to the Foot Clan on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can find us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. Share these with us on Monday morning. They're outstanding. This is a good way to cope. We've got my favorite one maybe of all time. Trey Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas. I thought that was outstanding. You've also got Duck Duck Trey Burton.
Oh!
I mean, Trey Burton, not good. Not 0 points is suboptimal.
Yeah, Chase Daniel was also suboptimal.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he comes out first pass, throws a touchdown, and you might be excited if you're the other side of the field, but no, Chase Daniel was not good.
Do not forget.
Threw a touchdown to Ogletree on the
Correct.
Giants.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
He also threw a touchdown to a tight end. To Adam Shaheen.
Yes.
Got a lot of Julio hate out there.
Oh, man.
Julio, no quarterback. Julio Jones.
Come on. Why you got to do Julio like this?
Julio, no. We've got the potential streaming candidate, Matt Lacoste, me a victory. Yeah.
Wait.
If you were depending on Matt
Lacoste,
you find – that's the one thing I've learned this weekend in general with all the
you
situations.
look in the mirror.
You find blame. Tyreek, what the hell happened?
Oh, that's nice.
Gronk smashed your playoff hopes, mine included.
Yeah.
The wait for Gronk is no longer proving to be – like you can't wait any longer. He had to show up. Goff with his head. I love that one. That's funny. You got baby Josh Reynolds.
Ah, that's good.
Yeah.
There you go, baby
Foot
Josh.
Clan special.
David kicked me in the Johnson.
Oh, come on. This is a classy show.
Yeah, I need to chase Edmonds away from the goal line. Yes, those are connected.
That sounds like a Brooks special.
This one's a Mike special. Emmanuel Sadners.
Yeah.
That Mike's probably.
I like that one.
Tariq throwing. Yeah, that was a slap in the face. I'm facing off against Tariq. Remember I stared you down, Brooks, for like an hour last week because I knew Cohen would have a monster week? Brooks says he couldn't handle the stare down because of how long it lasted. I don't know if you guys, you guys were not watching this, but it was over 1 solid minute of staring into his eyes.
And my personal favorite from this list, Brady made a deal with the Devlin.
That's very good.
Oh, yeah. No place like Mahomes for the holidays. I was afraid that Mahomes might not do that because they wouldn't need to.
Yeah, but then
Oakland.
he was Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, then he's
That's what he does.
Carlos Hydes. Yeah. So we've got a big show today. We're getting to all the studs, the duds. Don't forget FootClanGiveaway.com. We got some Christmas spirit up around the studio today, and we've got some Christmas spirit on FootClanGiveaway.com.
Ain't nothing little about it.
No,
It's a megalodon giveaway.
Signed DeAndre Hopkins jersey, a signed Saquon Barkley jersey, a signed Michael Thomas mini helmet. You can win them all at FootClanGiveaway.com. Appreciate you subscribing on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you can listen to podcasts. That's where we're at. And, well, I guess it's time for the Weekly Rewind.
Yep.
Weekly Rewind.
Sometimes things happen on this show in a very strange fashion. For instance, when we had Martavis Bryant on the show and then released the episode, it was a matter of a couple of hours, and unfortunately he was found with like a ban, he was suspended.
Yes. League substance abuse.
Substance abuse, and it was just coincidence that we had just interviewed him. We had some bad luck on the Kareem Hunt situation. Kareem Hunt, obviously, everybody out there has heard. If you haven't heard,
If they haven't heard, they've seen.
Yeah, and so we happened to have the Kareem Hunt jersey on the wall on Friday's episode. We happened to talk about Kareem Hunt during one of our ad reads for Pristine Auction, talking about the jerseys. Mike, give me your reaction to the news, because obviously the video was released by TMZ. He was placed on the commissioner exempt list, and then he was subsequently released by the Kansas City Chiefs. It happened in what seems like a blink of an eye. And we're this year-round show. We're talking about these players all the time, and boom.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we can at least start at the beginning. So the incident happened in February. There was the altercation, which we all saw, but what was reported at the time was exactly what Kareem Hunt had told his team, was that he was not involved in the situation. He stayed in the hotel. There was a mix-up between his crew and the girl they were with, but he didn't do anything. And then the NFL had their investigation. There was no police report filed, so this was, okay, this is the news we have to go off of. Nothing to make of it.
And we did mention it on the show way back then, and we all said, hey, are we going to hear more about this? And
right. And it's at seemed like nothing was going to happen. Then the video comes out. It was a very big personal tilt for me seeing this yet again because I'm so freaking tired of this crap. We dealt with some of it with LaShawn McCoy earlier in the when the season was starting. We are so tired of talking about. We're a fantasy football show.
Yeah, this is the last thing we want to talk about.
There's this crappy part of it is that my job is to help people win fantasy leagues. So there's fantasy implications of this, but you don't want to talk about it. You have to. So we got to be better. I don't think we should soapbox for too long. We'll just get into the more implications of news. But come on, man. We are better than this as a people and a society.
It's super unfortunate, and I don't like focusing on things like, okay, the NFL should have done the investigation better. Well, none of those reflections change what took place, right? Like, yeah, okay, so the NFL does the investigation better, and he's suspended in February instead of now. That didn't change that he made that decision. That didn't change that anything happened. So fundamentally, it's more of a human issue at the beginning. I don't want the NFL to become really good at investigations.
Right.
I want there to be no need for them. That's the ultimate goal. In terms of the implications, I'm going to give you a lay of the land here. Now, Kareem Hunt was placed on the commissioner exempt list. When he was released, he's removed from it. He can be claimed on waivers, and if he's claimed by another team,
by the end of today,
yeah, and if he's claimed by a team, he's instantly put back on the commissioner exempt list, and that is essentially the same as he's paid. It's a paid leave as the NFL conducts its investigation. Now, these are not quick investigations. When you look at Zeke's whole process was 13 months. When you looked at some previous investigations, I think the Jameis Winston one, 7-8 months long. And so
Adrian Peterson was on the list the entire year when he missed a few years back.
And so for the future of Kareem Hunt, and now I'm certainly encouraged by how contrite and taking responsibility he was in the video, saying that the Chiefs were completely justified in everything that they did, that he lied to them. At this point, you hope that he gets the help he needs. You obviously have thoughts and prayers with the victim, and we don't know all the details. So you hope Kareem Hunt the man, and you think Kareem Hunt the man is going to get another opportunity in the NFL. But when they complete this investigation and he signs with another team, he's going to have to serve a suspension of some fashion, and it will not necessarily be 6 games because it does not necessarily align perfectly with the domestic abuse.
There's also
category.
Reports that the NFL is investigating a second incident. I don't know if you guys were aware of this. So it's like my take on it. I think that Spencer Ware will be given another opportunity because this is how the NFL works.
Kareem Hunt, not Spencer Ware.
Oh, geez, sorry. Kareem Hunt will get another opportunity because that's how the NFL works. He's young, he will be cheap, and he's an excellent football player, and teams find ways to look the other way. Hopefully this is an excellent redemption story by the end. I don't know, but I think he'll get another chance. And when he does come back, his suspension is going to be 8 to 10 games. It might even be an entire year. If there is an actual second incident, then you're probably looking at an entire season for Kareem Hunt.
So for fantasy owners moving on, Spencer Ware took over the lead job. Damian Williams got work, and then there's reports that the Chiefs are expected to sign running back C.J. Anderson. They're also meeting with Charkandrick West. They'll probably sign one of those two guys at a minimum for a depth play.
C.J. Anderson that's a strange signing to me.
Yeah, they need Chard West more than they need
because you already have Spencer Ware. I mean, Spencer Ware and C.J. Anderson are really interchangeable guys. I mean, Damian Williams is the change of pace. Yeah, like if you're fine, I think moving forward with Ware and Damian Williams, it just is a repeatable asset for your team to sign C.J. Anderson. So it would be strange to me.
Expectations for Spencer Ware though moving forward, he is not Kareem Hunt on the football field.
But volume on a high-scoring offense with a ton of opportunity. But we all saw that Damian Williams was the more electrifying guy, but it was still all Spencer Ware. Andy Reid has mentioned that this may be headed straight into a 3-way running back committee with Ware, Williams, and Darren Williams. You may have never heard of this player.
Is it Darren or Daryl?
Daryl. Thank you, Daryl.
Yeah. I had not heard of Darren.
Yeah, I didn't know who Daryl was until I had to dive into all of this over the weekend, which, by the way, we got to talk about fantasy. If you're in Dynasty and no one has picked up Daryl Williams, you really should, because he's actually under contract next year, unlike Damian Williams or Spencer Ware. We don't know what's going to happen. So I think that Spencer Ware, I would consider him a running back 2, mid-range running back 2, with the knowledge that this could be a running back, 3-person running back committee, which it would be really unfortunate for fantasy.
A.J. Green was carted off Week 13 against the Broncos with a foot injury. Thoughts?
Yeah. Look, if there was the chance, I mean, we talked about this. The reason for A.J. Green to come back is that he's fully healthy, and there's no chance of re-aggravating that injury if that's the type. He chose to come back when that wasn't the situation. Re-injures the foot, did not look good. I doubt we see him again the rest of this year.
Agreed.
It was not a good week for feet. Greg Olsen re-injured.
They were undefeated.
They were undefeated. Well done. Greg Olsen
Was
also
that your featured joke?
Oh, yes. We're back, everybody.
We're back. It's Monday.
Yeah, so we're not going to see Greg Olsen or A.J. Green the rest of the season.
Jay, tell the people what happened to Greg Olsen.
Greg Olsen re-injured his foot. We knew that was when he came back. I think he even said I knew it was just a matter of time. This wasn't an injury that can go away.
But the actual injury that was being reported, so we needed an official report, but what I had seen was he ruptured his plantar fasciitis, or
Plantar fascia.
Fascia.
Yeah, that's not
He
good.
didn't have the itis. He ruptured it. And if he knew this was going to happen,
You should not have played.
no, I'm just – good grief, Greg Olsen. If I knew that this was a 1% option, that I could rupture my plantar fascia and say, fellas, I'm out. I'm out for the year. I'm out for my career.
I'll be tapping everywhere I can. I'm out.
Ruptured? No, thank you.
Yeah, he basically said it was just a matter of time. He played as long as he could with it, and then it gave out. 49ers coach Kyle Shanahan said Matt Breida, thanks, Matt, aggravated his ankle injury during pregame warm-ups. That's the third time that I have suffered the Matt Breida experience.
See, now I bet you wish you're aligned with me where if a guy injures himself in pregame warm-ups that they would announce it.
Yeah, it'd be cool. James Conner suffered a lower leg contusion, no timetable yet. Jason, have you heard anything about the severity of this injury?
Yeah, what I've seen is that there's so Mike Tomlin came out, said that it was a contusion. Pro Football Doc, who is excellent usually on it, is pretty much saying there's no way. He believes it's going to be a high ankle sprain in very confident fashion, which he is not usually wrong on those things. So I would expect that he is not playing this coming week. I mean, that's my expectation, which we'll talk about on the Waiver Wire show tomorrow. Jaylen Samuels, Stephen Ridley, get into those conversations.
Jeff Wilson Jr. We'll talk about him tomorrow too.
Yeah, certainly. So yeah, not a lot of injuries this week.
Also, Chris Carson, running back for Seattle, he did dislocate his finger. We're not expecting that to be serious, but after it happened, he did not come back in the game. However, Seattle was winning the game handedly.
Whooping, I believe is what they call that.
Yes.
The Arizona Cardinals are now responsible for firing two Mike McSomethings. Mike McCoy earlier this season let go as the Cardinals offensive coordinator, and the Packers have fired in the aftermath of losing at home to the Arizona Cardinals for the first time.
As 14.5-point favorites.
Since the 40s or something to that extent. Mike McCarthy is no longer the head coach of the Cleveland, or of the he's the future head coach of the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, no.
He's no longer the head coach.
Don't do that to Baker.
Of the Green Bay Packers. Now, if you watched Sunday Night Football, you saw Tony Dungy. He seemed extremely upset with the timing of the firing, the lack of respect paid a guy who's made you the playoff, been in the playoffs 9 of 12 seasons. There is the other viewpoint that this was a merciful firing by the organization for McCarthy because he can now interview in advance of the end of the season, right? You'd ordinarily be in a situation where during the playoffs, a lot of people get interviewed. He wouldn't have been eligible for that. Either way, Aaron Rodgers moving on with a different head coach. I brought up a name in the studio yesterday. I thought Josh McDaniels is.
Oh yeah,
he's one of the top
he's
guys.
He's licking his lips.
Yeah,
he's like, last time I went over, I just had to go to a team I could go that had a job. You're telling me now I can get Aaron Rodgers?
It's interesting though, because I heard it debated on local radio. You know, would you rather be the head coach if you're McDaniels? Would you rather be handed the Cleveland Browns job or the Green Bay Packer job?
That's a good question.
And, you know, the Packers a much more illustrious organization in history, and you've got the great quarterback, but it's also a very high expectation job, right? You fail in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, you're not getting a third chance at a head coaching gig.
No, I agree. I would rather go to Baker where the expectations are low. You bring them out of the darkness.
Yeah, you're the savior of Cleveland.
And if you go and with Aaron Rodgers fail, yeah, that's no good.
So there'll be a lot of other candidates for that job. They'll likely bring in an offensive mind. You've got the first branch on the Sean McVay tree. I can't remember his name. He's the quarterback's coach right now for Los Angeles. He would be a candidate. Jeff DiFilippo in Minnesota's a candidate. Yeah. So we'll find out who Aaron Rodgers gets matched up with. Ultimately, it's a good thing for Aaron Rodgers in that offense because
McCarthy.
Did I say Jeff?
Yeah.
Thank you. Monday Night Football updates before we get into the stud muffins. Josh Adams was added to the injury report on Saturday. He injured his hip. He's expected to play tonight. I'm tempering my expectations with Josh Adams tonight, though. You have Darren Sproles will be active for the first time in a while. Darren Sproles, if he's good at anything other than being injured, it's playing more than you think he will.
Well, he's great at ruining a timeshare. I mean, if there's like
that's on his resume.
If you need to get out of a timeshare, you know, you hear the commercials of, you know, you've gotten in, you call Darren Sproles and he's like, I can ruin the heck out of this timeshare.
I'll get you out, man.
I'll get you out, but it's going to cost you. Yeah, I mean, I'm not excited about anybody. You don't want Clement. You don't want Sproles.
Mike's dialing the number right now. He's like, I got one I need out of.
Wendell Smallwood has been irrelevant, but now with Josh Adams' late injury addition, you don't know. So it's really a situation where if you're playing Josh Adams, you're probably forced into that situation already. You're holding your breath, but I don't expect great things from any of them. You're hopeful that Josh Adams has himself a nice game, though.
I feel like Andy skipped this bit of news out of spite for me because Adam Schefter is reporting that Melvin Gordon could return as soon as next week. If not next week, the team fully expects him for Week 15.
Yay.
Foot Clan, if you got that bye week, whoa, man. Oh, man.
Yay, I'm so happy.
I am ecstatic. It fueled me all day yesterday.
I know. You and I are arch rivals. I was hoping maybe to play you in the playoffs without him. That's very selfish.
Everybody was.
It's very selfish. I know a lot of the Foot Clan have Melvin Gordon. They're saying, Andy, come on, man.
Yeah.
Get behind me. And I say, no, I'd rather be Mike.
Hey, before we move on, we want to thank today's sponsor, Indochino. There's no longer any excuse for wearing an ill-fitting suit because Indochino, North America's leading made-to-measure menswear company, makes suits and shirts to your exact measurement for an unparalleled fit and comfort. You can visit a showroom, have a stylist take your measurements personally, or you can just do it at home. Then you can shop online at Indochino.com, choose your fabric, design customizations like your lapel, lining, pockets, buttons, a monogram, and relax while your suit gets professionally tailored and mailed to you in a couple weeks. All three of us have an Indochino suit, and all three of us have never looked fresher or sharper when we're in our custom suits. This week, our listeners can get any premium Indochino suit for just $359 at Indochino.com when you enter Footballers at checkout. That's 50% off the regular price for a made-to-measure premium suit, plus shipping is free. That's Indochino.com, promo code Footballers to get any premium suit for just $359 and free shipping. This is an incredible deal for a premium made-to-measure suit.
And want to make sure that the Foot Clan knows about movement watches. Movement watches, they are founded on the belief that style, great style, should not break the bank. Movement watches are all about looking good while keeping it simple. And with the holidays coming and gifts, you can get yourself a gift. You can give a gift. Treat yourself. Look, Movement has made it perfect. They've done all the hard work. They've curated their favorite styles into awesome gift boxes and packages so that you don't have to. And movement watches start at just $95. Meanwhile, you're looking around at $400 for the same quality from one of the traditional brands. It's no wonder that Movement has sold almost 2 million watches in over 160 countries. They are great. If you need help giving the perfect Christmas gift this season, you don't know where to start, give the guys at Movement your chance this holiday season. Plus, you get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to mvmt.com/footballers. Check out their latest at mvmt.com/footballers. Join the movement.
This week's Fantasy Stud Muffins.
Patrick Mahomes.
He's
Four more.
It's not fair.
4 more touchdowns.
It's not.
He's over 40 touchdowns this season. That is usually reserved only for Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, first ballot Hall of Famers, not second year, for all intents and purposes, first year players. He's just not fair.
Baltimore next week.
Ha-ha! Take that, Mahomes owners.
It probably won't matter. It really. If you watch this throw to Demetrius Harris, it defies any defense he faces. Is that game at home? It's what it says here in the doc. Can you double check that, Brooks, just to confirm?
Do you think
that matters a lot? Not that you have a decision you're going to change based off of it.
Was Demetrius Harris wearing a Kevlar vest?
Correct, he was.
Because I don't think that it's possible for that ball to not go through him at the speed
it's
in
at
which
home.
they are thrown. It's true. There's no defense you could play on that.
No, there's not. And I live to watch Pat Mahomes get out of the pocket. I mean, that is if you get out of the pocket in the NFL now, the way that they call the game down the field, it is impossible. And this was a game where he put up 295 and 4, and in case you didn't know, Tyreek Hill had 1 catch for the whole game. He missed him on a couple bombs. So 1 catch for Tyreek Hill, and you still put up these numbers. He is impervious to.
He had 52 yards rushing because it's just like it wasn't enough to be 4 touchdowns and 300 passing yards. He's like, I should put another 50 on the ground.
And he may have to do more of that, to be honest with you, because I don't think that they're going to be able to move the ball on the ground with the efficiency they did with Kareem Hunt. So Josh Allen. Josh Allen, baby.
Back-to-back weeks where he's near the top. His rushing ability. Look, last week he went over 100 yards rushing, and then I believe the kneel downs took him back down to 99. This week, 135 yards rushing. This is why he was drafted, to be the Cam Newton type, and we can't just keep ignoring. Look, he's not the most accurate passer. Neither is Cam Newton. But Cam Newton is a fantasy superstar. Now, look.
He's a what now?
A fantasy superstar.
This week was a more stupor than super, but yeah.
That is absolutely true. But, I mean, Buffalo's offense, uninspiring. The weapons that are catching the ball, not that great. But
it don't matter.
Look, his schedule coming up, the Jets, the Detroit Lions, is he in?
Yes.
Should he be picked up and started? Yeah.
I mean, look, if you're at this point of the season,
he almost won the game. By the way, about another foot on that ball to Charles Clay,
Clay,
or Charles Clay being more capable of catching a low ball, and that game's over and they win.
At this point of the season, hopefully you already have a quarterback as you head into the playoffs. I can't imagine there's a lot of people who are having to go to the waiver wire and stream.
What if you had Mitch Trubisky though, and what if he misses another week? And you got week 1 of the NFL playoff.
Well, if you had Mitch Trubisky, then you played no quarterback the past 2 weeks.
So I'm saying you probably
if you were streaming.
You're streaming,
sure.
Mike. Come on.
You picked up Case Keenum.
What did you do? Did you have Mitch
Case
Trubisky?
Keenum,
Yeah, I picked up Jameis Winston.
Okay, but I'm just saying.
And I will play Jameis over. But
next week at home against the Jets.
My entire point was to say you should probably have a quarterback, but of the available streaming candidates, Josh Allen is going to be up there against the Jets.
He has elite arm talent, and you see it on the field as well.
Elite arm strength.
Yes. Yes, I consider that part of the talent tree.
But I consider accuracy part of that as well. For me.
He ranks 3rd in quarterback rushing yards, which is great, except he has missed 4 games. I mean, on a per game basis, he's just been awesome running the ball.
Russell.
Start of the week.
Russell Wilson, 11 completions for Russell Wilson.
So he had a terrible game, right?
4 of them were touchdowns.
Oh, so he had a great game.
Preposterous.
This is the most terrifying thing because you have to. I mean, do you stay in the flames with him at home against Minnesota next week when he had no rushing yards this past week and 11 completions?
No, I mean, I'm certainly holding on to him for the week after. San Francisco again, and then Kansas City. I can't wait for championship week. Russell Wilson playing against Patrick Mahomes. That's great, but no, I'm probably not going to start him next week against Minnesota.
Round of applause for Phillip Rivers going into
Phillip
Pittsburgh.
Rivers, I apologize.
Me too.
I doubted you.
Every metric, every algorithm, every projection. I left the studio yesterday, and Baby Josh I was here with Baby Josh at the end watching the games, and I had to try to convince myself that Pittsburgh's going to stop Phillip Rivers. And when that's like a bad sign. If I'm like, they're at home, like they're going to stop him, right? And they couldn't because you can't stop. He's top 3 MVP candidate this year.
He was the one player, and really I would stack that with Keenan Allen, that according to my rankings, all the metrics, what you said, the algorithms, the projections, they all said he should have a bad game. Then you lose Melvin Gordon, and you're maybe not able to, rush the ball. He was the one guy in my rankings going in this last week that was bodied for where, you usually see Phillip Rivers ranked. And I'm just going, I'm scared. He's been so good. And he was. I mean, granted, he got it started with a play that should never have happened, a deep bomb on a false
both
start.
Of his touchdowns were fluky. One on the false start and then one on the tip ball, but still.
Yeah, he's getting it done. You got to stick with him. He gets Cincinnati and Kansas City the next 2 weeks.
Nick Mullins, 30 for 48, 414. This was a product of, they were down the whole game, and he was chucking it. And Dante Pettis, a real target for him.
But even still, in that real negative game script, to come back for 414, I mean, that's very impressive.
Absolutely. We need to get into the running backs.
Okay.
Talk about the running back stud muffins. We also have rising stars on the show today. Todd Gurley got it done. Tariq Cohen.
Hey!
What a weapon. 12 for 156 in the passing game. Also threw a touchdown just to twist the knife on me. He's a monster. Phillip Lindsay. Whew! You can't make him a start of the week anymore, Jay, because he's going to end up in the top 5 on the season.
I'll tell you what. If I can't make him a start of the week anymore, start Phillip Lindsay forever. Don't
Start of the year.
Start of the year.
19?
Especially considering San Francisco, Cleveland, Oakland. Those are the next 3 games. Start Phillip Lindsay every chance you get.
19 for 157 and 2. 65-yard touchdown run in this game. Absolutely electric. Other than being kicked out of his third start, he would have had double digits in every game this year. And the fact of the matter is, easy schedule. I think Denver makes the playoffs.
It's very possible.
I think Denver wins out, and I think one of Pittsburgh, Baltimore loses out on the playoffs. I think it'll be Baltimore. So,
Denver. Oh, you think Baltimore?
I think Baltimore will be the one to lose out, and Denver will win it. We'll see what happens. Christian McCaffrey against Tampa Bay doing Christian McCaffrey things. James Conner, the injury is a concern, but he did enough before that
to beat you.
To beat me. Yeah, he planned his injuries appropriately for Brooks. What do you guys make of the Chase Edmonds 2-touchdown game? He was out-touched significantly by David Johnson.
And out-snapped. David Johnson was actually, it doesn't look like it because of the fantasy box score, David Johnson was the workhorse. Chase Edmonds was in for about 21% of the snaps. He just happened to rattle off some big plays and got a lot of goal line opportunity. So I am not making much of it.
Yeah, I don't read much into it either. I don't, even if you want to get on the, well, why was he in?
You should be handcuffing David Johnson with him.
Sure.
If you haven't learned from what has transpired over the weekend, you have to have your handcuffs now.
Yeah, this is the time. No, this is the time of year for sure. But I don't care that much about. He had 2 great runs when he got the opportunity inside the 10. They both turned into touchdowns.
If you haven't learned it by now, Kyle Shanahan knows how to run the football. Matt Breida got injured. Jeff Wilson Jr. Yes, Jeff Wilson Jr. came in and had a
My name is Jeff.
breakout game. 8 for 73 through the air, 15 for 61 on the ground. He looked very good. And
Shanahan's system makes everyone look good.
I agree with you. Mostert looked good. Breida looked good this year. McKinnon would have looked real good. The thing is, he faces Denver next week. If Breida misses a week, is Jeff Wilson Jr. somebody you're looking to pick up?
100%. Yeah, I mean, if Breida, I mean, he's got to be looked at, because if Breida misses, then he's a fine start. I realize Denver's rushing defense has been much better as of late, but that doesn't matter. I mean, if you've got the starting running back for Kyle Shanahan's system, you've got a fantasy, you've got a fantasy star.
Yeah, you got to pay attention to him for sure.
James White.
James White seemed like every play was called James White.
Dump off to James White.
The ridiculous, like, what was it, right before the half?
Oh, the 40-yarder.
The 40-yard
I forgot about
where it was like there's seconds left. You need like a Hail Mary, and instead of a Hail Mary, they just dump it to James White for 2 yards. And then there's no defenders because they're all down at the goal line. So he just runs for 40 yards and basically slides down. It was the most worthless play in NFL history other than for your fantasy
4
roster.
points.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
There was a little bit of an update, Mike Tomlin talking about James Conner. Tomlin at least is saying it is not an injury to the ankle in any way, shape, or form. They're going to see how the contusion swells, but they say it is not an ankle injury and that he will be fine. That is the word from head coach Mike Tomlin.
How do you feel about that, Brooks?
Sounds great.
I feel like
I'd take this moment to say this.
I do have Jaylen Samuels also.
Of course you do. You listen to the show. I want to just wish you incredible luck in the fantasy playoffs. I hope that everything goes your way. I hope you have great success.
I hope you win, Brooks.
I hope you just win
I
it
don't.
Oh, yeah. I hope you win, Brooks.
Is that sincere?
all. No.
Okay.
I hope you
That's what I thought.
you crash and burn. The wide receivers. Let's talk about Dante Pettis. 5 for 129 and 2.
Yeah, we'll be talking about him more in a little bit.
You want to pause the discussion?
Well, we can talk about him now and later. Mike, you brought up the fact that maybe he was a good play this last week. Andy and I weren't on board at that time. Goodwin appeared to be starting. If Goodwin continues to miss for this personal reason, and Garcon is gone. He's long past.
Wow.
Yeah, that was right.
That was a good one, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Pettis is just a really talented player. I was a big fan of him early, before the year. He's one of my favorite rookie wide receivers this season. If Pettis has the opportunity as the #1 wide receiver with Goodwin and Garcon out of the way, then I think you can keep looking his way.
Now, I was going to say his matchups coming up are rough. This was a rough matchup as well against Seattle, but Denver's
playing so well on defense.
Denver just lost their best
Chris
corner.
Harris Jr., yes. But Chris Harris is their slot corner. But Dante Pettis will have to play Denver, Seattle again, and then Chicago.
I'm not excited. I'm not. Hey, look, you can talk all you want about Denver's secondary, but their pass rush is going to, at home, be a problem for Nick Mullins.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you don't pick him up. Doesn't mean you can't start him as a flex, but I would temper expectations because there was a couple big plays for him. One really big play, but he's a very talented player that can't be lost, and it was a good game for Mullins. So I don't mind chasing it. I just want people to have a fair expectation. I'm very excited about Denver's defense over the next few weeks. Zay Jones, Jerron Brown, Devontae Adams. Okay. We know we're playing Devontae Adams.
Yep.
Jerron Brown, Zay Jones, you're not chasing those guys.
No, I'm not going to chase those points.
Did have a couple starts of the week, and they both scored a touchdown. Chris Godwin, Adam Humphries.
When Djax is out, Chris Godwin is averaging 100 yards receiving. When Djax is out, Chris Godwin, it becomes a top-level play.
How'd you feel about Jarvis Landry? 6 for 103 this week.
It was nice to see him get back on track. Honestly, the target share was there. The target share hasn't necessarily meant a ton of production lately, but this week it finally turned around.
You know how sometimes a stock gets really, really high price, and sometimes they split the stock. Is that a viable thing you can do with the tight end position? Can we split Travis Kelce up into like 3 or 4 tight ends?
I get share number 1.
Yeah, like I
share
get
number 2.
just into quarters. It makes sense. You get Kelce's first quarter, I get his second quarter. I'll go ahead and buy him off the waiver wire.
I think you're onto something.
Absolutely start Travis Kelce's first quarter over most tight ends.
And Travis Kelce, 12 for 168 and 2. Almost had a third one if it wasn't for a replay. Almost had a fourth one if it wasn't for a tip ball. I mean, it's only going to get better if Sammy Watkins stays off the field and Kareem Hunt is out, obviously.
And the primary beneficiary, besides, of course, Spencer Ware, for Kareem Hunt being off the team was Travis Kelce this week.
Yeah. But next week he gets the – who cares? Who cares? You don't look at matchups when you're, the best tight end in the league.
Correct.
And once again, we had one of those very special weeks where, Austin Hooper was the third tight end. Ferkser was the fourth.
Oh, yeah.
Demetrius Harris, who, by the way, he could see a little bit of an uptick as well. Yeah, I mean.
Also, Demetrius Harris.
Toy Lolo was in the top 10.
Demetrius Harris, you got a burner spot. I mean, he's a tight end, so it's not super valuable. But in Dynasty League, Demetrius Harris is on his contract year. Just a little.
Jared Cook, 7 for 101 on 8 targets. I mentioned to Mike before the Oakland game that I thought that there was opportunity to find value in Oakland, whether it was Aitman, whether it was Jordy, whether it was Jared Cook. Like, somebody has to catch the ball. Derek Carr had a very good week statistically, and Jared Cook, he's the tight end 5 on the season. Eric Ebron, 10 for 81. He had 16 targets, no scores for once.
Because the team did not score.
They did not score at all.
The team put up a goose egg.
But this is what you're going to see.
And Eric Ebron was 10 for 81. He's a top 3 guy moving forward.
No doubt about it. No Jack Doyle. Any other thoughts on tight ends you guys want to jump into?
Never.
Rising Stars of the Week.
Rising Stars for this week.
I'll kick it off because
kick it off.
We already started talking about him. Dante Pettis, to continue the conversation, he's my rising star in a similar fashion to how Juju was my rising star. It's what you see. It's not just the box score. I realize that the box score is great, right? 77 yards and a touchdown last week, comes in this week over 100, 2 touchdowns, looks great. But the reason he's my rising star is because you're seeing on the NFL field what you loved from college. Remember, he was starting to get on track before a bad injury earlier this season, and that took him out, and then, Goodwin was, back in. Now that he's given the opportunity, and this is with the third-string quarterback, look, am I saying that Dante Pettis is someone you have to start next week if Goodwin is out? You don't have to. I think he could end up being a very good start. I probably would be willing, depending on your roster. The schedule coming up isn't that great, but long term, I mean, I believe he's going to take over the Goodwin role. Goodwin has never, ever been a guy able to stay healthy. Not in college, pros. Goodwin is a guy that, to me, will take over I'm the deep threat. That's really where he thrives. I think Pettis coming next year will be the #1 wide receiver for this team. He looks special to me, and so he's my rising star. I believe long term he's a guy you want. I mean, in dynasty leagues, I would be.
He profiles as a electric, multifaceted, route running, high speed. Like, he's 6'1". Marquise Goodwin's 5'10". Like, there's a big difference between those two guys.
And if you haven't heard of the correlation between college punt and kick returners who have success, the guys that dominate in those special team roles in college, translating to successful fantasy players, that's actually one of those big markers of if they're able to do that in open space, whatever trait that is tends to translate well to the NFL.
Christian Kirk.
Yeah, and he was a dominant. I mean, he broke records in college for that.
Well, hopefully he can stay healthy too, having been injured already this year.
Truth.
Justin Jackson's my rising star, running back for the Los Angeles Chargers. It's a few San Diego's showing up on the broadcast last night.
I don't blame him.
But Justin Jackson, look, he gets Cincinnati next week, and if Melvin Gordon does miss, it's a great opportunity for Justin Jackson. Austin Eckler tried to put the Batman suit on last night. It didn't fit.
It was too big.
It didn't fit. It was too big. It was
flopping around.
Droopy. He needs to strap on the Robin suit, the tight Robin underpants. That's where he belongs. And that's not a look, one of the highest average yards per touch, Austin Eckler. He only has that because the touches don't come on every down, trying to run between the tackles. Justin Jackson gave the Chargers something special last night. Mike has brought his name up repeatedly over the course of the preseason and into the season.
I honestly thought Justin Jackson before the season would take Eckler's job. And going through the game last night, it was surprising they didn't let Justin Jackson run more. Even after he was having success, they still went back to Eckler. It will be interesting to see if that game plan shifts next week of them saying, okay, we have the proof of concept, Justin. You're good. He got called out by Phillip Rivers. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw this.
I did not.
During the post-game interview, Phillip Rivers was elated, and he talked about the breakout party for 32. So let's see if they use him next week.
It might have something to do with hot hand. It might have to do with Eckler gets off to a slow start. They're going to quickly move into Jackson.
Right. And yeah, you already said it, Andy, but just repeat it. Cincinnati next week.
Yes.
Goodness gracious, Justin Jackson is going to be a great start.
And then Kansas City the next week if for some reason they hold Gordon out because they're in the playoffs or they're listening to the show. Either way.
Don't worry. Week 15, he'll be back just in time. My rising star could be put on ice here by Mike Tomlin and his contusion confusion. Not sure what's going on here with James Conner, but I wanted to bring up the name of Jaylen Samuels because in Yahoo leaks, Jaylen Samuels currently retains his tight end eligibility, which
ridiculous.
Cheater.
Which means you could have the starting running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers next week in your tight end spot, which is certifiably unfair. We'll see if Yahoo jumps on this quickly or not. I don't know if they will, but regardless of that, if James Conner is going to miss, Jaylen Samuels projects to be the primary ball carrier, the primary guy of what could still be a little bit of a timeshare, but the main guy, as they've shown, Pittsburgh picks their guy and they go with him, and he would take on Oakland. So he will become a fantastic spot start if you're struggling with injuries heading into the playoffs.
All right, the Rising Stars this week brought to you by FantasyChamps.com. If you need a league trophy with custom engraving, that's what they specialize in. High-quality trophies, metal engraving. You can get Fantasy Championship rings.
Get a jersey, man, a custom jersey with your team name on it.
Yeah, you can check it all out at FantasyChamps.com. Use the code BALLERS. Save a little bit of cash. Let's talk poopers.
Pooped in his big boy pants.
Everyone.
Yeah, this was a bad week for NFL scoring.
Gather round, children, and we will tell you the tale of Week 13.
It was Breeze and Rodgers and Ryan and Luck, Goff and Cousins.
Anyone you thought you could count
all of them
on.
stunk.
Ugh.
I like it.
Yeah.
You brought that home. Let's see how Carson Wentz does tonight.
Yeah, well.
He'll be fine because you felt like you couldn't count on Carson Wentz this week.
That's true. That's true.
Jason was on tilt, having started Matt Ryan.
And
it didn't matter.
I tweeted out.
My quarterback scored 44, yours scored 10.
I was really struggling with the Carson Wentz versus Matt Ryan matchup. And after 2,500 votes on this poll from you, it was still tied 50-50. Nobody could decide between those two terrible starts. I went with Matt Ryan, and I wanted to just take a shovel to my television, just whack it, while Matt Ryan was the worst quarterback that's ever played.
Yeah. He fumbled for 6 at the end of the game, and you didn't believe me and then said, I want to die. So that illuminates that situation. Disappointing game from Kirk Cousins on the road, some errant throws. Really shaky. Jared Goff has looked shaky for 2 weeks in a row from an accuracy perspective. 17 for 33 against Detroit. That's worrisome.
Yeah, he misses Cooper Kupp. I mean, you saw – I remember one play where it was, red zone target to Josh Reynolds, and it just was out of sync, and I'm positive it would have been a touchdown if Cooper Kupp was the one in that role. He was running that same route, but it was just a foot too far on the ball, and yeah, it's hurting Goff.
Case Keenum, we thought he'd be a good streamer. He was terrible. Right now, just so you're aware, it's more efficient to run the ball with Phillip Lindsay, who's averaging 7.2 per touch, than it is to throw with Case Keenum, who is averaging 6.8 yards per attempt.
Wow.
So it is better to hand off than to throw with Case Keenum. But they are winning because they are playing defense again. They have a nice schedule, and Phillip Lindsay is running like his tail's on fire.
The most surprising one to me, because some of these we could see coming, like Matt Ryan, but Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck has just been,
I really thought he'd be okay.
It hasn't mattered the matchup, good, bad, or otherwise. He's been throwing 3 touchdowns, and it mattered. I mean, watching that game, he was struggling.
He was without his superstar center, and then Bohm, who came in replacement, he actually eventually left the game. So I think you had some offensive line problems.
I thought you were going to say his superstar tight end, Mo Alley Cox.
Oh, Gigantor was also out. What a
10 feet tall if he was a foot. Running backs, look, as a continuation from the Luck discussion, Marlon Mack struggled. Everybody struggled for Indianapolis who didn't score. Mack was 8 for 27. Very poor game. Nyheim Hines ended up getting more snaps. This is, Mack is not matchup proof. Mack is not game script proof. He can take advantage of a really good matchup, but next week against Houston in Houston doesn't sound like one.
No, and even the week after, Dallas's defense has been very good as well. So it might be time to look elsewhere for the next 2 weeks.
Tevin Coleman lost on the way to the stadium, 6 for 8.
Man,
that's a good game.
The entire Atlanta Falcons offense, really. I mean, when a game where Julio Jones, top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, does essentially nothing.
If you were Breeze,
yes,
like Breeze, Michael Thomas, or Matt Ryan, Julio Jones this week,
my goodness,
and you're like licking your chops, you could be like out of the playoffs.
Yeah. Hopefully, you two played each other.
You
got
hopefully
your stacks
oh my
against
gosh.
each other.
Let me ask you this real quick. Tevin Coleman, who's just been
terrible.
He's been unreliable at best. He gets to play Green Bay, and David Johnson looked good. Chase Edmonds looked good. Are you going to be willing to play him?
He's always in the.
Or are you just in the? In the burn ward.
I mean, you're kind of saying Jalen Richard or Tevin Coleman.
Yeah, in a situation like that, I'm probably still going to stick with Coleman. I don't think their offense is going to sputter as much as it did this week. And if we remember, the last time we saw the Falcons as bad as they were this last week was Week 1 to kick off the NFL, the first game of the season against the Eagles, where they just looked completely out of sync. And then if you were to overreact to that game too much, you missed out on the next 3 games of absolute fire from the Falcons offense. So I'm not happy with Coleman, and there's definitely situations where I'll bench him next week, but they're
collapsing right now.
Yeah.
You think they fire Sarkisian? I think it's time to move on.
I don't think so.
I don't think they will.
Emmanuel Sanders, bad game from him. Kenny G, uninspiring, 3 for 50. We know about the Traquan Smith Thursday goosing. There were some painful gooses. And then Demaryius Thomas, Kiki QT didn't play. Demaryius Thomas just 3 for 32. I think we warned you not to chase the touchdowns, but I think we all expected a little bit more against Cleveland.
A little more, yeah.
Brandon Cooks was all right. Josh Reynolds stunk. DJ Moore had 8 targets, but
real
just turned it into
that
4
one
for
was
44.
We had talked about Curtis Samuel, and Curtis Samuel seemed to be the more primary receiver for Cam Newton in that game.
That's John Brown. That's David Moore.
They're flying in formation.
They are. Also, all
Falling
Packers
in line behind Trey Burton.
All Packers wideouts not named Devontae Adams were terrible.
Wow.
They dropped passes. Marquez might have had his worst game as a Packer. I jettisoned him a couple weeks ago, but it's just disappointing.
Same with Aaron Rodgers. That might have been
yeah.
his worst game as a Packer. I mean, he didn't look good. No. It was not the fault. Some blame needs to go to the wide receivers. Plenty of the blame needs to go to Aaron Rodgers.
He had zero. They had 0 offensive plays of over 20 yards yesterday, and he had something like 30 completions, something ridiculous. Yeah. So look, tight ends. Mike, what do you do with Gronkowski now? Are you actually looking to stream other guys over him?
No. I will go down. I will be the captain on the ship, and I will stand there as the ocean swallows me whole. And I will go down.
You'll be bailing out the water.
No. I will do nothing. I will stand there and salute to the fantasy season that should have been for Gronkowski. I am not streaming over Gronk. I will accept my fate.
Cameron Brate, only 3 catches. Kyle Rudolph, stunk. Burton with the goose. David Njoku with 3 catches. Vance McDonald, stunk.
It's so much easier in tight ends to just say who actually had a decent day because it's like 4 of them.
You got to play Jaylen Samuels. He's the #1 tight end in the league right now. All right. I think that about does it.
Yep.
You got the game tonight. Washington. Philadelphia. Yeah, I'm just thinking about my loss to Brooks. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's tough in the streets.
But hopefully you didn't lose out there, Foot Clan. We've got some titles to win, so stay with us rest of this season and on into the offseason. We'll always be here. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.
Draft.com/ballers.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.